Climate change, you know.
It's like a paradise. It's really silent. You can feel the breeze, so fresh air early morning if you wake up. Everything is so pure. Then we are in the front line of a war. We are the ones who've been going and die actually because we are gonna be drowning.
Der südpazifische Inselstaat Tuvalu ist so stark vom klimawandelbedingten Meeresspiegelanstieg bedroht, dass langfristig ein Leben auf den Inselatollen unmöglich sein wird. Noch hat die Regierung die Hoffnung nicht aufgegeben, dass die internationale Staatengemeinschaft die globale Erwärmung auf unter 1,5 Grad Celsius begrenzen wird. Selbst gibt man sich allergrößte Mühe, sich dem Klimawandel anzupassen, zum Beispiel durch künstliche Schutzwälle oder durch Landgewinnungsmaßnahmen. Für die Menschen, die dennoch gezwungen sind, ihre Heimat zu verlassen, fordert der Staat internationale Regulierungen zu deren Schutz.
We are already suffering, small islands of Pacific Tuvalu. As you may have seen, the erosion is bad, food salinity, the fresh water is really getting very bad, and the outer islands as well. So all the other islands, so it's quite serious, and we don't want it to get more serious.
And therefore, I think as responsible leaders in this area of the world, they should really come to this sense of mind and to help us to continue to live in our homeland, because this is our land and God-given land. Of course, we are used to claim, and a lot of us Tuvaluans claim that God promised Noah there will be no more flood. But the way things are happening right now, the sea is rising, and definitely is rising.
We don't want to be called climate refugees. We'd rather be called climate forced migrants, because we are not refugees and we will not be refugees. We won't be leaving our shores.
So no, it's better to stay in Tuvalu because it's our home and we're also thinking. No, it's like we're citizens. Yeah, and we must Tuvalu is like a home, so we need to die with our own country. That's the perfect word. With these things, we have to stay with our own country. Yeah. We don't have to migrate to other people's country because it's not our home. Duh.
There's no actually safe place to be hide. You know, we can't run from those natural disasters. We can't. Things happen. That's it. If you survive, you're lucky.
And from the surveys we did, there are indications of people wanting to leave because of migration. But I do subscribe to the government's position at this point in time that the last resort will be relocation. So for now, I'm not advocating for relocation or resettlement, but rather the fact is that the people are still choosing to leave voluntarily. So I do believe it is important to help out in whatever way that can be done for these people who would like to go for family reunion and just decide to live with their family, say New Zealand, or people who decide just to go because of to work overseas. So we need to prepare our people. Of course, the main issue here is that we don't want to lose our identity and culture.
But I think the bottom line boils down to the people to be given the opportunity to have the choice, to choose what option they would prefer to have in terms of, after having known the consequences of climate change, in terms of sea level rise, what would impact to their daily lives here in Tuvalu, compared to if they have a better place to go to, if they wish. These are the choices they should be given. And at the end of the day, they should be the ones to decide, to make their own personal decision to leave Tuvalu or to continue to live in Tuvalu.
We do not want to be relocated hazardly without proper planning and arrangements. Therefore, while we look at relocation as the last option, we need to lobby with the international community for an international convention that protects the rights of people who will be forced out of their countries because of climate change.
Well, climate change related sea level rise is one of the impacts that we continue to face in our daily lives. I mean, our elders continue to say that we don't need any scientific explanation of the sea level rise. We have witnessed that in our daily lives in Tuvalu. Striking of our houses by rising seas and strong wind and all this. This does not need any explanation from the scientific community. It's just part of our daily experience.
When I was young, I came to know that we have different types of tides in Tuvalu. That includes low tide, high tide, and king tide. King tide comes around the end of the first quarter of every year. And while growing up, I came to know that it has changed. Throughout my own experience, king tide is just the same as high tide. But normally king tide is the biggest tide in the whole year in Tuvalu. But now king tide is just the same as high tide.
We want to save Tuvalu, and we are urging the world to get actions on the Paris Agreement on climate change. And this is, we believe we can save Tuvalu and save small islands if the whole world, work collectively and as a community of nations to work on reducing greenhouse gases and keeping it down to the targets of 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial period. We need to achieve that in the shortest time possible, and the Paris Agreement is very strong on that. And on the other hand, of course, there is an urgency for adaptation assistance to small islands like Tuvalu. As you have seen, we have already started coastal protection, seawall projects, and you have seen, here on Funafuti, we are already doing a lot on our own.
Due to climate change, the sea has washed away a lot of our lands, and so our government managed with some of our overseas partners to get this barge to help reclaim most of our lands that has been washed away to the ocean side, to the lagoon side. So the barge have pumped most of this sand, reclaimed sands, back to our shores, and they were washed away. Now you can see most of the sand that the barge have pumped in. There's a certain place beside the government building that has been built by one of the New Zealand company, and they've put some sandbags to keep the sand from being washed back to the lagoon side. So I guess that's one of the best ideas of keeping the sand.
Yeah, the problem here in Nafala is coastal erosion. And then there's one project that's been done, is planting of mangrove. It's to minimize the erosion around the coastal areas. And the other thing is the bleaching of corals. And that means like also the decreasing of the numbers of fish. And most of the people here around here, they're depending on fish itself.
I heard that Germany is not coming up with a very ambitious plan to reduce their emissions. And I understand the fear of transition that is going around, not only in Germany, but in all rich countries. The fear of transition from fuel-based economy to renewable energy sources. But I think if we weigh the cost of doing what is right now and waiting and doing it in years later, it will cost more. And for Germany, I think it is the right time now to think and do the right thing by closing down the coal mines and not depending on the coal fuel, but going into renewable resources.